the meeting to order, please. Welcome to the Carson City Cultural Commission meeting. Are there any comments from the
Roll call.
public in writing that
Roll
we
call.
would have had given to us ahead of time? No?
We need to do roll.
Not that I'm aware of, but go ahead and start with the roll call first, and
Yeah,
then
but, okay,
ask that
so we're
question.
going to do roll call. Please.
Chair Deneo,
Here.
Vice Chair
Ruth.
Mowers,
Here.
Commissioner Drysdale, Commissioner Horton, Commissioner Flakus, Commissioner Smith, Commissioner Moore.
Yeah,
A
and
quorum's present.
Curtis did call with saying he would not be here this evening, so I got a message from him. All right, having said that, there is the notice to the public that you can put in written comments or be online, et cetera, et cetera. You may provide public comment in advance of a meeting by written submission of the following email address. Did we get any emails or any comments, questions, anything? Sam is now here. Mr. Flakus is here.
Sierra Scott, for the record, we did not get any written comments via
We did
email.
not. Thank you. I appreciate that. We have a quorum. Public is invited at this time to comment on and discuss any topic that is relevant to or within the authority of this body and is not already scheduled on the agenda. Do we have anyone who wants to make comments? Yes, madam. Ms. Sharon, please. Please, when you come and speak, please say your name for the record. Thank you.
Hi, Sharon Ross, Capital City Arts Initiative. I just wanted to introduce our new exhibition here in the Kroll Boardroom. This is by Marietta Sophie Paul, who lives here in Carson City. She's a silver maker, metal worker by trade, and
Married to my minister.
married to your minister, and is tripped into printmaking up at Western Nevada College, and she's a student of Rachel Stiff's. And so we love this exhibition. We hope you will too. If you go to our website, you can read more about her, although I did not put in there that she was married to your minister. We are having a reception for her on Thursday, March 30th, right here, and she's going to do an artist talk at 5:30. So if you'd like to hear her talk about her work. CCI has 3 other current exhibitions. We have Michael Plyler's photographs over at the courthouse. We have Sidney Teskey's paintings at Western Nevada College. And we have, for one more day, we have photographs from Carson High up at the Brick, to be followed by a 4 high school show, if they can all get their work here, with Douglas, Carson, Dayton, and Pioneer High School students.
Good.
So thank you for your support. Do you have any questions? Okay, we'll enjoy the show.
You're expanding out to Douglas and Pioneer. Well, you've had Douglas, but now Pioneer and
No,
now Dayton?
that's
Have
been
you
a,
had Dayton?
yes,
Oh, wow.
yes, ma'am.
These kids are wonderful. It's worth going to see the Brick, by the way. It's quite wonderful. Thank you, Sharon. Appreciate that very much. All right, first action item is approval of the minutes. Oh, excuse me. Yes, sir. I didn't see your hand up. And you, welcome, and you are?
I'm Dan Thielen, for the record. I'm the director of the Nevada State Railroad Museum in Carson City. Hi, Dan Thielen, for the record, director of the Nevada State Railroad Museum.
Nice.
We would love to partner with the Cultural Commission on commissioning some artwork at the Railroad Museum. We are becoming
Any comments? If no one has one, I have one. I know the local Rotary Club, which just loves working with you guys. Have you met the ladies behind you, Sierra Scott from the Cultural Commission, our supervisor, and Deborah Soul from the CTA? So have you all been in conversation? If not, there's a good suggestion, and they would be happy. If you've got a business card, please share it amongst
We
each
are.
other.
We're
Okay.
working on Mark Twain Days with them, and
cool.
we had a big event last summer,
Yeah.
the Iron Horse Roundup,
We
and
sold beer.
yes, and it sold a lot of it, and I think
of
it
it.
saved lives. It's probably the
He did. It was hot.
but we've got some great opportunities that I think we're looking for spots on the calendar that are empty for Carson City, that we can be nested better into the city and work cooperatively with the goals and initiatives you do, but especially in the arts. So,
Yeah, that is wonderful. Well, Dan, it'd be nice if you could stay for a while, because there's going to be talks about the budget and kind of some information about the Cultural Commission itself, which might prove to be helpful to you. So welcome. Nice to have you here. Thank you. Okay, so we're on approval of the minutes.
There's actually corrections.
Yeah, I was going to say, are there any changes, additions, corrections?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
So on
For the record, please.
for
thank you.
yes, duh. Susan Mowers for the record. So on page, I don't know how you want me to do this, because it starts on page 3 at 5:45. Commissioner Horton moved to nominate. I wasn't sure. Oh wait, sorry. The next one, 5:44. Chairperson Deneo moved to nominate Bethany Drysdale to the position of vice chair, and that should actually be Susan Mowers.
Susan Mowers. I didn't say that, did I? No.
And then Bethany was the second, which is fine here. And then throughout, every time Bethany is notated, for example, also on page 3, 553, it says Vice Chairman Drysdale, so I'm assuming it needs to be changed to Commissioner. And then again, on page 4, at 6:30, on the second line there, it says Vice Chair Drysdale, so again, just Commissioner. On page 5, right at the top, 6:38, the motion should be from Commissioner Drysdale. A little halfway through the page, 6:42, should say Commissioner Drysdale. You stole my thunder, Bethany. Just kidding. I'm totally reading shit. I just sit here. So that is with those corrections.
Yeah, so noted. Anybody else have anything to add or change? Okay, may I have a motion for approval with the amended or the corrections?
I will move to approve the minutes with the corrections.
Second.
I second.
All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Moving on. Meeting items for discussion only. Presentation and discussion regarding an update of Carson City arts and culture activities. I'm going to ask Sierra Scott to come and take over from here.
Okay, Sierra Scott for the record. Deborah and I are gonna share some of the updates since the last meeting on the various programs and activities that we have been working on together and independently. So I will throw it to Deborah first.
Deborah Soul, for the record. I'm happy to tell you about our progress on the Mark Twain Days Festival, which is now less than 6 weeks away. Yes, makes me nervous, busy times.
If snow is gone.
It will be.
It
It will be. So the festival program has now been pulled together. In case you hadn't heard it, it takes the form of an old-fashioned newspaper, multiple-page newspaper as a takeaway in itself. That's nearing completion, and it's going to go to print fairly soon. Tickets are also going to go on sale within the next few days for our ticketed events at the festival. Most of it is free, but there are some ticketed events. And we're just finalizing content for the sale of those tickets with e-tix and with our other partners who are sometimes selling tickets for their own events. So stay tuned. And anybody who is really keen on making sure that they get tickets, because to be quite honest with you, some of our VIP events will be very limited ticket numbers. The best way to do that is to go to the marktwaindays.com website and sign your name up on the VIP list, because they're going to be contacted first for tickets. So we're going to release half the tickets first to them.
Would you repeat that, please? Mark Twain Days?
marktwaindays.com. Okay. So the Twain Train excursion has expanded. It's now also going to include a short stop in Virginia City, where everybody will be invited to disembark and attend a 1-hour catered reception at Piper's Opera House, which should be fantastic.
Nice.
Yes. And the Walk-in Sam Shoes event has now been confirmed and completely pulled together. That's the special Ghost Walk event with Mary Bennett that will be included in the festival lineup. There is also an artist-painted rocking chairs activity that has taken place. All of those chairs have now been distributed to area artists. So I think there's 17 chairs now, might even be 18. Wow. And some have started to come back already. We have a few actually on exhibit in the Visitors Center, and they're absolutely stunning. I'm so pleased to see all their work. So they're going to be displayed at the Artisan Gallery at the Brewery Arts Center for the month of April, and then they're going to be delivered to various locations in the downtown for outdoor display during the festival weekend. And then they're going to be auctioned off. So anybody who's interested in owning a unique rocking chair should just go and have a look at the rocking chairs when they're in the Brewery Arts Center gallery, the Artisan Gallery, and there'll be an online auction taking place. The Railroad Museum, as Dan was just telling us, is also participating. They're going to be running their steam train on Saturday afternoon and into the evening with some featured activities for Steampunk Festival participants. So during that afternoon, there's going to be special train rides, photo opportunities, entertainment, and a beverage area. The Brewery Arts Center is also hosting Mark Twain movie screenings with live music on Friday night and also on Saturday night. On Saturday night, I believe it's going to be Bonanza episodes that feature Mark Twain, because there are a few, which should also be fun. And the Brewery Arts Center is also hosting some sip and paint evenings, both Friday night and Saturday evening. I'm not sure of the time yet, but they are going to be activities where participants can create a canvas that will have an image of a book in a pipe and one of Mark Twain's famous sayings, so that all the paintings will be different. So that should be great fun too. So those are just some of the activities that are completely shaping up now. And we've also acquired street decorations so that the downtown will look festive. And we've been working with our volunteers, organizing who's going to be where and doing what. So it's all coming together.
A lot of work you've put into it. That's wonderful. Any questions? Yes.
For the record, Bethany Drysdale, I've been seeing marketing for this everywhere, so really, really well done on that. The essay contest I thought was just absolutely brilliant. Did you get a lot of submissions for that?
Yeah, Sierra Scott for the record. That was the next component we were actually going to talk about, so thank you for the segue. So I've been working on mostly the literary component of the festival, and the writing contest closed about a week and a half ago. We got 30 entries, which, you know, for the first year,
Wow,
it's
that's
not
a
terrible. And we
lot.
did get enough in each, so we had middle school, high school, and college, or college and adult. And we did get minimum 6, maximum 10 in each category. So there was enough to judge, and the judges were all the judges are local artists, local literary artists and writers, and they had great feedback. And they said the submissions were really good. The judges' scores are due tomorrow. Then we're going to notify the winners. We are going to have the winner in each category is going to be printed in the program. And the top 3 are going to be invited to to read their essays during the festival, during the,
The Friday evening special.
Thank you. And the top winners are also going to be printed in the Mark Twain Journal, which is a national periodical. So yeah, successful this year. And then the poster contest we were originally going to do with the school district for the elementary school kids, but the school district was really at capacity this year, especially with all the snow days and the weather and all of that. So we partnered with the Boys and Girls Club, and they are they've been really great partners. They're going to do an educational component with their elementary age kids and teach them about Mark Twain, and then they're all going to create posters together, and those will be displayed at the Brewery Arts Center as well. So it's not necessarily going to be a contest anymore. It's just going to be, a
activity.
display from the Boys and Girls Club. And then last in this literary activities, we do have our writing workshops confirmed. They're free. They're both going to be on the Saturday of the festival. We have Suzanne Morgan Williams doing the morning workshop, and Gail Marie Palmeyer, who is Nevada Poet Laureate, and Courtney Clifton doing the afternoon workshop. And those are all Nevada-based sense and place and kind of calling out to Mark Twain and his writing style as well. So I would love to get the word out about those because they are free and registration is open now. So
Susan Mowers for the record. I just have to say thank you for all your help on that literary part. Having helped, and Deborah, I can't believe how full the schedule is now. I mean, I'm just kudos, and I know I feel like I was maybe somewhat helping, but more like, please take this and help more. I'm just amazed, and especially on the writing stuff, Deborah and I have talked about that a lot, and I'm so grateful that you really jumped right in there, Sierra, and pulled it together, because I think that's really going to make the festival I'm just so thrilled. Like for the first year, this is going to knock it out of the park.
Deborah Soul here. I just also wanted to add that there's a vendors marketplace in the Arlington Square site, and we have lots of wonderful vendors. We've very much tried to stick to hand-created items, most of which are things you might have seen during the Twain era. But we also have a writer's corner, so there are going to be writers there with their wares, with their books, ready to talk to people, and I'm so pleased that we have that component in the vendors market as well.
Yeah, Susan Myers for the record. I've been getting emails to help Linda, so I might pull you in, Sierra, to help me help you.
This is so exciting. After at least 10 years that I know of, we've just sort of been floating, and it's all coming together. And thank you both very much for the hard work that you've done. It's amazing. I don't know when you sleep, and for the help from everybody on the commission who has offered a hand. Thank you very much.
And I have one more question, actually. Susan Myers for the record. How did it go with the costume volunteers and everything?
Deborah Soul here for the record. We actually had a meeting with the volunteers, costume volunteers, just last week, and I was overwhelmed at the turnout. There are so many people that want to be a part of this, and we all asked them why, and almost every single one of them said, I just love dressing up, which is fine, but we have volunteers that are going to be on the streets, handing out programs, giving advice, giving assistance. We have almost as many, again, costume volunteers who are willing to just stop and stand up on a soapbox and read a passage or do something entertaining. We have costume volunteers that will be on the Twain train, that will be at the bow tie ball at the governor's mansion. There is a huge turnout of volunteers, almost to the point where we have more volunteers than I knew where to put them. And then there may also be a very large group of costume volunteers coming down from Virginia City to give us a hand too. So it should be fun on the street.
And Susan Myers again for the record. And the Mark Twain lookalike contest. I know, because they had put the word out, I think, on their Facebook group.
Yes,
The costume.
Deborah Soul again for the record. It's called the Cast of Characters. It's a costume pageant that will be held on Saturday afternoon, and it's meant to invite anybody who wants to come to the festival in a costume to participate in various categories, just fun, absolutely silly categories. Obviously, the first one is the Mark Twain lookalike. There's categories for the women's costumes. There'll be a category for anyone dressed as characters from Mark Twain's stories. And we have Tom and Becky coming from Missouri now, so they'll fit right into that category. And there's a steampunk, at least one steampunk category, and a number of others, and prizes to go along with it. And we've also acquired, or we are acquiring, about 1,000 pretty good fake mustaches that we're going to be just handing out to people on the street. And we're hoping to do a big photo shoot of the crowd with mustaches at the same time as the cast of characters pageant. So like just fun events.
Are there actually folks, a bunch standing up as Mark Twain lookalikes? I mean, we know.
There
we
will
have
be,
one.
there will be.
There's
And
Twainiacs, Susan. That's
Twainiacs?
what they call themselves.
And
Oh my
all of the costume volunteers, we're going to be taking them off of their duties, and they're going to be invited to be part of that cast of characters pageant too.
What fun. It's getting more exciting as the days go on. Anything else anybody wants to add on that discussion item? Lots of information.
Question, Mike Smith for the record. So Sierra and Deborah, I heard it was mentioned, Deborah, thanks for the great marketing job, or maybe it was directed to you, Sierra. So let's say for those individuals who may not have access or do not subscribe to the Nevada Appeal or go on Carson Now, how are we advertising this to get to the citizenry in Carson who may not subscribe to the NA or maybe go online to see, to read Carson Now?
Deborah Soul here. We've actually been using a wide range of marketing techniques, starting with way back when that we had locally, and for people who were traveling abroad, save the date cards, just to let people know. We have been using social media platforms for the past few months, and those are getting extremely well opened, lots of hits. Lots of feedback on it, lots of excitement. We've had the website up, and as I said, there's a VIP list, and there's now somewhere between 600 and 1,000 people on that VIP list alone who want to be informed about what's happening and when. We've also done television advertising. We've done advertising in magazines and newspapers, and we have done radio advertising, and we will be doing billboards. So there's still a lot to come.
Good.
Are you here? Just one final follow-up, by the way, Mike Smith for the record. Since the legislators will probably be in for session, let's make sure that we extend invitations to them if we haven't, because that's on the Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. I know that most of our legislators, particularly those who live in the South, usually go back home for the weekend, but this will be a great opportunity for them to stay.
Agreed, and we're making a point of doing that.
Thank you.
Good.
Sierra Scott, for the record, we have a couple more updates for you, and I'll pass over to Deborah for an update on the Mark Twain mural.
Okay, the Mark Twain mural is progressing. The artist did purchase the preferred Dibond panels that we were recommending, and she has prepared all the surfaces and commenced painting the mural. She is enjoying working on the aluminum panel surface so much, actually, she confessed to me that in the future, if she has any opportunity to recommend materials, she's going to recommend that. It is a fantastic material to work on. So 2 of the 4 panels have now been completed. She's working on the 3rd. I've been meeting regularly with her on Teams because she's out of town, but we've been able to stay in close communication, and I've been able to follow her progress, and it's been nice and it's been exciting. So the mural panels are expected to be delivered before the end of the month, and the museum has now planned installation of that mural to take place during the first week of April. So I'm working with the artist and the museum to try and coordinate when that's going to be delivered, when the installation takes place, and when the artist can do touch-ups, because I'm hoping to just combine her trip so she only has to make 1 as opposed to 2 trips.
Where's the location for the mural?
The location for the mural is on the Robinson Street side of the addition of the museum, the Nevada State Museum.
Wow.
So it should be really quite stunning.
Oh, that's
Uh,
exciting.
Sierra Scott for the record. The South Stewart Street, South Carson Street roundabout. Update on that project. Right now, the RFQ was just completed. I worked a lot with Public Works and purchasing and contracts and many different departments to try to get this. This is really the first major RFQ that we put out for a piece of public art like this. So this is the first time we're following the public art policy on this, and there's a lot of moving parts, and I'm assuming it will be easier once we've done this all once. But it is set. It is 11 pages long, and it is going to the Board of Supervisors hopefully for the April 6th meeting for approval. And after that, if we can stick to this tentative timeline, the applications will open for proposals or for requests for qualifications will open on April 17th, pending approval. And then we're looking at a fabrication delivery install by spring 2024. So that's that timeline. We were recommended for additional FY24 redevelopment authority funds. They recommended 50,000 additional funds to be allocated for the project in addition to the 25,000 that has been rolled over since 2019, which makes the total budget for the roundabout 150,000.
Okay.
Which we are hoping is going to be enough, in this market with materials and supplies and labor, all of that, and the artists will have to adhere to a prevailing wage and all of that. So we will see where that gets us
Okay.
with that budget.
Maybe we can review this again when we get to the budget
Yes.
number that we've got, reviewing this here,
Yes.
because I had a couple of questions, so.
Absolutely.
That's cool.
And Susan Mowers, for the record, I don't know if it pertains sometimes to this type of material, but I just know that supply chain issues with any kind of, I've been running into that for things that you wouldn't think that you'd run into it for. So
Absolutely.
just noting that, like,
Mhm.
yeah, especially with the timelines.
Yeah, that the timeline right now has November through spring of 2024 for install, for fabrication and install, and that could certainly be pushed out. So, yeah.
Sam Flakus for the record. Do we get to see a draft of the RFQ before it goes to Board of Supervisors?
You are welcome to. Per the public art policy, the Cultural Commission just has to approve the scope of work and project goals, which we did at the last meeting. And typically, actually, the RFQ doesn't need to be approved by the Board of Supervisors, but because this is the first time through this process, they wanted to take a look at it for approval. But yes, okay, absolutely. Mhm.
That's good.
Okay.
Thank you. That's a lot going on.
It's a lot. Okay, there's more. Get ready. The mural.
Have we moved on to item 4B?
Nope, not yet. Okay, the mural festival it is moving forward. They're looking at identifying walls. Currently, I'm working with contracting to draft up the contract with Sierra Arts Foundation, who is the fiscal agent, and we are looking at other funding sources. I'm writing a grant to the Nevada Arts Council to supplement the funding because it is scalable. So the more funding we get, the more murals we get. Right now, we are just in fundraising and identifying walls. And in May, the next big event is the kickoff ground mural, which is going to be painted at the Brewery Arts Center. And I will certainly let everybody know when that is set and what that looks like. Okay, summer art classes. Okay, this is actually a really exciting program that is getting off the ground. We have partnered with Sierra Arts Foundation. We are doing 3 different summer art classes. We're kicking it off with a free series in May. So every Saturday in May, we are offering free art classes for ages 7 to 17. We have a 2-hour session in the morning for ages 7 to 12, and a 2-hour session in the afternoon for ages 13 to 17, all about kind of the basics and fundamentals of visual art. And we wanted to make those free because it is the first time that we're doing something under Parks and Rec, and we just wanted to remove any barriers to folks to come to those classes, and also just let people know that we're here and we're creating programming and get the word out. So that's May.
The location, please?
So there is a little building behind the community center that used to be the kids club, and we are turning it into a designated art space. It's fairly small. It's about 30, 40 capacity. But we're going to redo it, get some tables and chairs in there, and that is where all of these classes are going to be, and hopefully even more arts programming in the future. So that is May. In June, Sierra Arts Foundation's just doing a regular paid class series, the Youth Art Fundamental series for artists 7 to 12, and that's going to be in the same location. And then we are doing a 1-week art camp through Parks and Rec as well in July. So really excited about that partnership.
That's wonderful.
And then last but not least, we are doing another free series. Again, trying to remove barriers and make things free as much as possible, especially for youth. We have partnered with the Pioneer Center. They have a really amazing program called the Pioneer Center Youth Programs, where they have artists of all performing arts disciplines come into schools and libraries and community centers, and they do 1-hour interactive performances for, it's geared towards K through 6, but it is for all ages. So that is starting in April. And we have one performance every month, April, May, June, July, and August. And those are going to be open and free to the community to come and be part of these performances. So,
Wow.
yeah.
It's just like, wow, God, this has really changed. This is wonderful. Again, how do we get that information out to the public? And I'm thinking of, those 57,000 people that live in the houses in this town. If they're not reading the newspaper, how are people learning about this? That's my concern.
Sierra Scott for the record, I agree. And, right now, because we're under Parks and Rec, we do have their reach, which is great. So they'll be posting all these programs for us. We are going to be going out in their activity guide, which goes out to all the schools. So that's a really great, physical piece of marketing material that goes out to all the schools, and that goes out quarterly. So we are about to put it out for, I believe, May through September, and all of these events will be included in that. So.
You know what? Well, because I'm thinking of the individual homes and what's coming in. It's like I don't get any of that in my house, and I'm certainly not at a kid age. So it would be interesting if you could contact like any one of the utility bills people, the water or the power, the whatever, Southwest Gas, see if they couldn't put just a piece in or a flyer in or something so that it gets into the individual homes. Because I find that as I talk with people, there's a lot of stuff going on, but they don't know about it. And so the out-of-towners coming in because they're catered to, that's one thing. But the people who live here, that's something else. And there's a lot of them. So anyway.
Susan Mowers for the
just a
record.
thought.
I think, and just, I'm curious how how the marketing budget works, but also in addition to, some of the like physical flyers and mailers and things, I wonder if there's ways to, of course, social email blasts, if there's any type of email list, or if you did partner with other things that, just more on the digital side to maybe get into Facebook ads and things that would also, because I wonder how many people get physical bills versus how many people just like I pay online.
Well, I get the bills and I pay online, but the thing is, it
Or
comes
if
in
you-
my house.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
just a variety, but how does the marketing budget work for Parks and Rec?
Sierra Scott.
Marketing budget.
Yeah, that's really probably
right.
what it
yeah,
is.
currently I don't have a marketing budget for these programs and activities, so we are limited to social media. And again, the activity guide does exist, which is great.
So
But
okay.
that is limiting at this time.
yeah, okay. Huh. All right. What needs to happen in order to get you a marketing budget? I guess is the right.
Don't know the answer to that.
Age-old question.
Yeah.
Okay,
We'll
then.
get into the budget next, actually.
Yeah,
So there you go.
exactly.
Well, let's, if there are no other comments or questions or thoughts, Michael, everybody's happy. Let's move on to item 4B, which is discussion only, presentation and discussion regarding the current budget, including current and projected funding for arts and culture activities and programming for fiscal years 23-24. Okay.
Sierra Scott, we'll start with the fiscal year 2023 budget. So we are almost at the end of this fiscal year, but we haven't really talked about this budget since I have been in this position. So just to give a broad overview, we were designated $50,000 from the FY23 redevelopment funds. That was in two different tranches. The first one was $47,000, which was for the 2023 Redevelopment District Arts and Culture Grant. You can see all of those listed here, all of those awardees. And then there was 3,000 remaining that was not allocated during those grants. And that is what I'm working with between now and June 30th. And you can see down in its proposed expenses. So that remaining 3,000 is going to be allocated to pay our teaching artists for those Mark Twain Days writing workshops, the Pioneer Center youth programs, and paying for that free art class series in May. We do, to Vice Chair Mauer's point with supplies, art supplies are actually surprisingly expensive right now and hard to get. So
Yes.
that is something that we are working on. I'm working on currently getting donations to cover the art supplies for not only the May classes, but hopefully for the June and July classes as well, just so that we don't have to pass that fee on to the participants. So yeah, working on getting donations. If you know of anyone that would like to give donations for art supplies or would like to sponsor the May series, please send them my way.
What's the total on the May series?
2,475, and that, yes. Mhm. And that includes supplies. There's a second line item for supplies, which is just for, in a perfect world, getting more supplies. So, yeah. Any questions on the FY23 budget before I move on to FY24? Okay. All right. Looking at the fiscal year 2024 budget. So this is going to look a little different because the vast majority of these funds are the funds that are allocated for the roundabout. So looking here, you've got the top item, the redevelopment funds that are $50,000. That is the $25,000 that will be allocated for the arts and culture grants, which we'll talk about next, and then $25,000 for additional programs and activities. I am writing that Nevada Arts Council grant right now. If we are awarded that, that'll be an additional $7,000. And then the next three line items are all designated for the roundabout. And that's Carson City Culture and Tourism Funds. So this is $75,000 that is allocated from that 1% transient occupancy tax. And that will be a donation from the CTA to the city for the roundabout. And that's going to happen in FY24. Then there is this $25,000 that's been rolled over for many years now, since 2019. Hopefully it will not have to be rolled over again. Hopefully we can use this year to actually make this project happen. And then there's that $50,000 that is pending final approval that will hopefully be the last income for that. And then down in the expenses, I highlighted all of these expenses that are related to the roundabout project. We are paying for the call for entry website. And this is just because the folks, the artists that specialize in this type of art, large scale, public art, especially the installation processes, working with licensed engineers, all of that. It's a very specialized skill, and we really wanted to cast the broadest net possible. So it is worth putting it on this is the number one website basically in the country for these types of calls. So that's going to give us a really big reach. We have the honorariums for the semifinalists, and that is to defray their expenses to travel here and create the proposals. And then $140,000 is what remains for the actual artist fee, which includes all other expenses that they will incur. We have the $25,000 that's going to be allocated for the arts and culture grants this year. Currently, I have $14,000 out of this budget allocated for the mural festival. Again, that's scalable depending on donations and other things that we get between now and September. We do have the Pioneer Center youth programs, and then currently, there's about $17,300 left over for arts and culture programming. And that is something I'd love to talk to the commission more about, what we see for the rest of fiscal year 2024 and where we want to put that allocation. Questions?
Timeline on the Nevada Arts Council grant?
It's due May 1st. Those panels usually happen in June. Possibly July this year, and then we should find out final approval July or August.
Okay. Anybody else? Any questions? Micah?
For the record, maybe I missed something, but what is the timeline for the roundabout project?
Let me pull this up actually. So if we stick to this timeline, applications will open April 17th. The deadline for phase 1 submissions is May 26th. We will select the 3 finalists in June. In July, the finalists will come and visit the site. They will have July and August to develop a concept. They will submit those concepts, the written proposals, in September. And then the public art panel will evaluate and recommend their top choice to the Cultural Commission, hopefully at your September 11th meeting. And then those will go to the final approval to the Board of Supervisors in October. And then once it's permitted, then November to spring for the actual fabrication and installation. I'm sure it won't be.
Gee, that would be, but may I ask, please, Sierra, when the minutes, when they come out, could this be just a line item listing of what you just gave to us so that we could keep sort of track?
Sierra Scott, for the record, I'm going to send you all a copy of the draft RFQ,
Okay,
so you have all of this.
okay.
Yeah.
All right, and
Sam
Em?
Flakes for the record. So 17,300 is what is left over for what we get to, spend for FY '24. If something comes up that we want funding for and we don't want to pull it from that pot, can we advocate to the Board of Supervisors for funding for a specific, like if we decide that there's something that we really want to fund that probably can't come out of this, could we go to the Board of Supervisors and say, hey, we really want funding for this, item that we came up with? Can you help us come up with a pot to pull from?
Sierra Scott, for the record, that's a tricky one to answer. Currently, the funding sources that are available are and could possibly allocate additional funds would be Redevelopment Authority. That I might be going to them to ask for additional FY24 redevelopment funds for the Mural Festival, for example. And if that happens, that would free up additional funds from this budget. Also donations, public or private donations, and other grants. So those are the main funding sources I'm looking at to supplement this budget.
Okay, so essentially this isn't all that there is. The Board of Supervisors can find grants from.
That would be that wouldn't be the Board of Supervisors. That would be within Parks and Rec
Okay.
and within the Parks and Rec budget.
Okay, so we don't even have to go through them if we wanted to get a grant from federal, state, local grant, whatever.
Correct. Yeah, Sierra Scott, for the record. When I apply for grants, I do get approval from the Parks and Rec director, and she in turn gets approval from the city manager. And then once I have that approval, I can move forward and go after any grants that we feel are appropriate.
Okay.
This is Todd Reese, Deputy DA. Let me clarify that
Yeah.
for a little bit. It depends on the amount of the grant. Some grants do have to go before the board for approval. In general, when you're bringing a grant before the board, suggesting that, we're going to try and get money for the city, they're usually going to approve that.
yeah,
Sierra Scott, for the record.
Good luck on it.
The grants I'm looking at right now, even the highest dollar amount for the arts, unfortunately, arts grants are not that big. I wish that they were big enough to go in front of the Board of Supervisors. But even the National Endowment for the Arts grants would be, between $50,000 and $150,000. So.
Okay. Susan Mowers for the record. I don't know if you know this, but the state has a new department that is a grants matching department. Okay, you do know about that. Okay, good. It's for federal money. But yeah, so I'm going to bring up again my concern of we're spending all this money and how are we marketing it? So almost to Sam's point, if we ask for, again, I think this is you've done amazing with this budget, but yeah, obviously with the roundabout, you've got a very focused mission on that, just like with the Mark Twain Days and whatnot. But, and of course that's CTA, so they have a marketing budget. But yeah, to have all these programs, that we're investing a lot of the money in, anything we can do to help you to get so that we can get the word out.
Do you know any wealthy people who want to write checks?
Well, and I'm just wondering, it's do you need to, finagle some numbers, I guess?
Yeah, Sierra Scott, for the record, I would love to prioritize looking at marketing, moving forward, because right now I am a one-man band. And so
Mhm.
even the marketing that is done is, putting it on the Facebook page. And that
It's-
is similar to the rest of the Parks and Rec structure too, which again, I'm still working within.
Oh, okay.
So,
I'm
so
still learning on,
Yeah,
how,
so
how that city
right-
funding, budgeting, all that works.
yeah, so right now I'm in, my marketing is in line with how Parks and Rec markets their programs. I will say that.
Okay, and then that must fall under Board of Supervisors, the Parks and Rec marketing stuff.
This is Todd Reese. Yes, it does. Your question is somewhat timely. The Board of Supervisors will be beginning the budgeting process for fiscal year, I think it'll be 24, coming
Already,
up soon. And so what I'd recommend if you want to kind of observe what's happening is watch the Board of Supervisors agendas. The budget items will be coming forth shortly. The budgeting process has been going on for at least the last several months
Okay,
internally within the city, and then it's going to the board here shortly.
perfect. That helps. Oh, yeah.
Question to the city manager, that's helpful too. Yes, sir?
At the end, right?
No, I'm going to allow this one now because it's specifically to this. Will that be okay?
Yes, it's within the chair's discretion to allow public comment after each.
Would you
after
please
each
come
item.
on up, turn on the mic, identify yourself for the record, please? And you have no more than 3 minutes.
Thank you, Chair and Commissioners. The three questions I have are, will there be a theme to the art? My concern would be there are people that have trouble getting around roundabouts and any real unusual distraction, whether it were reflective or if it were too mobile or such, might be a little bit more of a negotiating factor as far as they're getting around successfully. The next thing is, will there be a time, and I'm not supposed to address it to her, so will you pass it on? Is it okay just to ask?
It's being recorded, so just
Oh,
go right ahead.
all right, thank you very much. And is there a time that will be set up? If it's set up in 24, is there a time that particular piece of art will have its stay? And then will there be another consideration as far as replacement? You know, some things are to stay forever and people get comfortable with it and they all conclude that they don't need a change. But is there an opening for a possible saying, okay, this is your sundown type time and then we're going to reevaluate and go on further? I was just wondering, there's a lot of amazing artists out there and I'm sure they'd love to have the opportunity. But also, is it going to be statewide review as far as participating in the choice? Are you going to be out of state? People are going to be able to go for the art position, or will it be only in-state selective type thing? I was just
Thank you
wondering.
for your questions, and we will turn those over to,
And could you just state your name?
Oh, I'm sorry, I usually start with that. Carson City, I'm Denny
Denny.
French in Carson City, Nevada, resident. Thank you.
he attends a lot of meetings.
Oh, well, excellent, we're all.
Yes, and
And
is
I
very
still have
aware
a-
of what's going on in town. Thank you very much, Danny.
Well, I'm not good
Appreciate
at it yet, but
Okay. So those are good thoughts, comments, and questions, and put those in the hopper, and let's, find some directions and answers for those too, please. I don't think we have them right now, do we? Do you?
Yeah.
If you want to address them, fine.
Sure. Sierra Scott for the record. In this RFQ, which again will be available to the public when the Board of Supervisors takes a look at it, one of the items in this, the final design must comply with traffic restrictions for the roundabout site, including but not limited to distance for viewing, non-interactive, non-obstructive to drivers at the perimeter of the roundabout, non-reflective, etc. The details, safety, and engineering of the artwork and its installation will be reviewed by Carson City's Public Works Department, Community Development Department, and perhaps other city departments. So we are very cognizant of the safety, especially in this situation with the roundabout. It is intended to be a permanent work of art. However, we are looking at other temporary places that we can have public art in the future. And the panel, the public art panel is per the public art policy made up of members of this commission, local artists, other local stakeholders that are connected to the site and location.
Thank you. Good answers. Anybody want to add anything?
And then, can you address about the artists who will be included? Whether it's statewide or?
It is a nationwide call.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
It is national.
National.
It is national. All right, then let us move on, please, to, boy, lots going on. Item 4C, which is for possible action, and that is approving the fiscal year 2023-2024 redevelopment district arts and culture guidelines. So that has been presented to us. And any comments or questions? Does anybody want to add anything to that?
I
Okay.
do. Last year was the first year that we did it this way with the points and all of that. Did we come across any issues with the point deductions for recurring events? Now that we've been through one round of this, did we see that that was a problem, or?
Deborah Soul here. I'll try and answer that question. I think that everybody was quite clear on the rationale for changing that scoring criteria and the need to try and emphasize new initiatives for the RAC fund. So I haven't had any negative feedback. I'm sure that there are some people in the community who would still love to have more funding, but it's my understanding that it's been fairly well accepted across the community and understood that what it is that we're trying to do to encourage new initiatives and to broaden the scope and spectrum of what it is we're doing in arts and culture.
That was exactly what I was hoping you were going to say. I just wanted to have it on the record there. And then I know that reports on completed projects have to be turned in within 30 days of the completion of the project. Do we get to see those reports? Were they in there and I didn't see them? Or
Deborah Soul here for the record.
We've
We
never seen
have received some of the reports. Some of them are still outstanding. For the most part, they're pretty short and to the point. I think 1 or 2 pages is the most I've ever seen in terms of a report, really just confirming that they have spent the money according to the terms of the grant and with receipts and evidence that that's how it was spent. And photos.
That was what was said initially and originally when they come and make a presentation and they know that this is the way it's, and there's timelines and when they have to have things in and done and so on. But in my 10 years, I haven't seen any literal, let's have, these reports come to the board, these commission members. I've never seen them, but we have relied on staff, to do that for us, and they've done a wonderful job at this point in time.
yeah, certainly. I would assume that would be the case, but I would needed to ask.
So do you want a motion, because you're saying for possible action on this budget?
Sierra Scott for the record, if there are no other questions.
Does any one of you wish to make a motion on the 23-24?
I'll make the motion
All right.
so the action is to approve the redevelopment district arts and cultural grant guidelines as presented.
Is there a second?
Second.
Anybody have any comments or questions that you want to make? If not, may I call for a motion, please? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None. Because it's fiscal, Todd, do you want a head count? No?
No, that vote was fine. It sounded like there was 6 in favor and nobody against.
And no one against. Yes, that's the tenor that I got. So you may move forward with that one, thankfully. We are on item number 5, non-action items for discussion only. Comments from members of the commission and/or staff. Do you want to pick up on this one? Yes, ma'am.
All right, Sierra Scott for the record. All right, looking at the non-action items, any comments from members of the commission?
I think you're doing a bang-up job. I'm thrilled.
Michael
Michael.
Smith for the record. Just a note, the second annual Capital City Black History Program was held on February the 9th at Western Nevada College. It was about 65 people attended the program. It was a very good, diverse group, a diverse crowd. We even had some assembling persons and state legislators to attend as well. I'm hoping that next year some of you will be able to attend. I'm just going to assume maybe you had other plans, or the weather, all of those things. But the date is set for next year back at WNC, and I'm glad to see they have removed the interim name of the Dr. Cal Doppy, the president at WNC, to now the official president. But next year it's going to be February the 15th, 2024. Once again, February the 15th, 2024. I would love to see your place in the your face in the place. Thank
Now,
you.
to have that much warning, you will see our faces
Thank
in
you.
place.
Thank you. It was a very good program. We enjoyed it. Thank you.
Future agenda items. For the next meeting, June 12th, we are going to be looking, you all will be reviewing and approving there we go. You all be reviewing and approving the FY24 redevelopment arts and culture grant application. So that is going to be a bit of a longer meeting. And we will also be looking at, this second bullet point, the annual report and future work plan will be submitted before that per our policy. So Barb, Chair Dineo and I will be looking at that earlier.
Okay, so a question for our newer members. At that meeting, will we have presentations by those who are requesting funds?
There will not be presentations. Everyone will receive the applications and score sheets and evaluation rubric prior to that meeting so that you can all bring your scores to that meeting.
We are not going to hear from the individual
Did they-
organizations? That's a first.
Deborah Soul here. In the past, there have been presentations for the grants. It is not always a process that is included in a grant evaluation process. As a matter of fact, I would say it's probably less common. Generally, the applicant is expected to submit all of the material that's required. And if there is any absent material, there usually isn't an opportunity for them to give additional answers or material, partly because if all of the applicants can't be there, you're actually giving some applicants more of an advantage than others. So the more common process for a grant assessment process is for it to be without the applicants in attendance. But it's up to the commission to decide how they want to proceed.
That'll save unhurt feelings and people upset. Wow.
Sierra Scott, for the record, that's also in line with what the Nevada Arts Council and Nevada Humanities and all the other state arts agencies, how they run their grant programs.
Hallelujah.
I would like to put possibly on that June for a future agenda. I'm not sure which one, but as I mentioned earlier, looking at what we would like to do with the remainder of those funds for the rest of fiscal year 2024. I'd love to have some discussion on that from commissioners so we can make a plan and move forward.
Can there be some ideas as to what you might be referring to?
Ideas for programs and activities or for public art projects. One of the public art projects that I've been looking at is utility boxes. Things like that, but really, really open. What Deborah and I have also been looking at is reviewing the strategic plan and looking at where those goals and objectives are that we're missing and where we can target to make sure that we are addressing all those goals.
Deborah Soul here. I was going to make exactly that comment, is that
good.
both my program and Sierra's program are guided by the strategic arts and culture strategic plan that was adopted by the Board of Supervisors last year. So we're very carefully following what is in that plan. And I'm happy to say we're actually starting to tick off a lot of boxes. But it is important, if everybody comes up with great ideas, it has to align with what those most important priorities are for arts and culture in Carson City over the next 5 years. And those are in that strategic plan.
And tasteful.
Valerie Moore for the record. Would, and this might be a not here conversation, some of the other projects that we have like planned coming as far as Sierra Arts goes, would that fall, because they would fall into fiscal year 24? Would that be something I should mention here, or would that be something that we should discuss before?
Sierra Scott, for the record, those are probably, yeah, once those projects I think are more confirmed, I think that's absolutely appropriate
Okay.
to bring.
Okay, I didn't know if I should bring them up here or not. Okay, thank you, sorry.
Sam?
Sam Flakus for the record. For ideas moving forward for what to do with, for the upcoming fiscal year, do we want to all bring a list of things that we would like to see with us and then talk about them for the next meeting, or how are we going to do that?
Yeah, Sierra Scott, for the record, I can absolutely, we can, Chair Donato and I can make sure that's an agenda item on the next meeting. Yeah.
So just send you ideas, just email them and just say, hey, put this on the agenda.
I think we need to put everything in the hopper that we get and put it out there and talk about it. I mean, Lord knows we've spent a long time not having discussions about things going on artistically and culturally in town, and now's a wonderful time to put it out there. Knowing full well some things might go by the wayside and not be implemented or a part of, nothing is guaranteed about anything, but I think all ideas need to be at least put out there and looked at. Okay?
Okay.
Sam, happy? Good. Michael, you okay with that?
You're just gonna throw against the wall and see
And
what sticks.
see, no, I thought it was ceiling, whatever, sticks, then that's what you go with. So, you've got quite an agenda ahead of you, Sierra.
Yeah, I'm a little bit serious. I'm concerned about that June meeting, so
Yeah, so,
might be a long one. We also have the ability to call extra meetings, additional meetings as needed, so that is an option.
knock it off, but it has to be within a frame where you've got time to put it out, You can't just say, let's have a meeting. It has to be published, it has to be noticed, there's a lot of paperwork that has to go with it. So let's think about that a little as we're doing this. Yes, thank you. So future agenda items, anybody want to add anything to that? If not, we have upcoming meetings and events, of course, April 21 to 23. We have Mark Twain days, and 2 days later, I'm in a conference for 3 days. So, jeez. Okay, and the Carson City Culture Art, June 12th is our next meeting. Everybody here, put it on your calendars, please. At this time, the public is invited to comment on any matter that is not specifically included on the agenda as an action item. If there's anything you want to have put out there for us to think about, or you may do so. If we hear nothing at this point, thank you, Dan. Thank you, Denny, for being here, and of course, Sharon, always. Always. Anything else for the good of the order? No? Then I'm going to say this meeting is adjourned. Let's go.